Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another UFC preview. I'm here with Jackson once again. How you doing, Jackson?
I'm doing good, Mason. How about yourself?
I'm doing solid. I'm surviving. I'm living. UFC 259. It's happening. What do you think about this card?
Uh, I'm absolutely blown away top to bottom with how they've put this thing together. We talked about it a little bit before the show. UFC 251 when they had Volk versus Holloway and Yawn versus Aldo and all that stuff. That almost feels kind of weak compared to this card. Whenever you're having guys like Dominick Cruz on the prelims, you know you're in for something special.
It just seems like Dana White every once in a while just throws, those UFC or MMA diehards a bone and just goes, here you go, full card, top to bottom, absolutely stacked. I love it.
And yeah, right now we're on track to have three champion cards every, what is that, 6 months or so?
Yeah.
Because that's where the bantamweight is at right now, since they're reappearing, and you have this fluctuation where they just kind of keep going.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into some of this card. So we're going to cover the whole main card, but I think we wanted to start with the prelims, but just the main event there of the prelims, Dominick Cruz versus Casey Kenny. A very good fight. We talked about it before we started recording, but it almost feels wrong putting Dominick Cruz in the prelims, but where are you going to put him in that main card?
Yeah, there's really no space left at the top, and I almost feel like you could have moved Dominic to like be the main event of one of the UFC on ESPNs or the fight nights or whatever. But to preserve the absolute beauty that is this card, I'm happy that they put Dom on there. As far as how to win the fight, I think he's got to keep Casey Kenny standing up. If he goes to the ground, Casey Kenny's going to strangle the life out of him. It's so hard to say what's going to go on with Dominic, because the last times we've seen him, he was losing, obviously Cejudo and Garbrandt. But I think that Cruz can get back in the win column here and knock Casey Kenny out in the second.
Okay. That's a bold prediction there. I'm really struggling to pick on this one. My heart wants me to go with Dom.
Yeah.
And I think if Dom wins, I think he wins a decision. I think he just, like you said, keeps it standing, uses his footwork, and outstrikes Casey Kenny. But I think it's just going to be one of those scenarios where the veteran gets got. I think Casey Kenny's going to do it. I don't know if he's going to finish him. I think Dominick Cruz is a pretty durable guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw Cejudo finish him, but Cejudo
Yeah.
ended up being quite the finisher there towards the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He really turned on the Jets towards the end of his career.
So I'm going to go with Casey Kenny winning by decision. So already disagreeing. That's good because the last one, it seemed like we agreed with just about everything. So
yeah, we kind of went tick for tack on the last one. So starting it off hot, that's at least a nice little change of pace.
yeah, it'll be interesting though, because Dominick Cruz is one of those big guys who says that ring rust doesn't exist. And we're going to figure that out today because it has been a little bit since he's fought.
And he's got so much to prove. Coming off 2 losses, if he loses to Casey Kenny as well, that's an issue. We've been seeing guys get cut, and while I don't think he'll necessarily get cut since he serves as like in the commentator position, it does certainly question how much longer does he have on the active roster.
And on top of that, it's just a really good feeler for him. It's a good test to see where he is because you have guys like TJ Dillashaw coming back. You have guys even like Uriah Faber saying that they want to come back and fight. So Dominick Cruz with a win over Casey Kenny, he can start fighting in the top 10 of the bantamweight division and start get going again if that's what he chooses to do.
Yeah, just so long as Casey Kenny doesn't serve as the ultimate roadblock.
Exactly. All right, moving on, we got a light heavyweight bout. Thiago Santos versus Alexander Wreckage. What do you think of this fight, Jackson?
The thing that I can most relate this to is it almost feels like what happened to Edmund Shabazian for me. It feels like they're setting Rakic up for success, and I'm not buying into it yet. I know that Thiago Silva is on a 2-fight losing streak to Jones and Glover Teixeira, but those are two very well-established guys, especially John. Glover's a bit over the hill, but regardless, Thiago still put up a pretty decent fight. He's also likely fighting for his job. We just saw the Santos get cut. There's no telling how many more guys are about to be headed out of the building. He's got to stick the landing here. And even though Rakic is a very hard guy to outstrike or even put on the mat, I'm going to give Santos the win through decision.
Okay, this is one of the fights where you don't want to blink because
Yes.
either of these guys can knock your lights out at any moment. I'm going to disagree with you once again, but again, this is one of those fights where any guy can win this fight, and it might be one of those scenarios where, you know, we talked about it before. Any given night, either of these guys can win. But I'm going to go with Wreckage. I think a big key to success here is going to be his leg kicks. We saw that against Anthony Smith in his first fight in the UFC, and he just it wasn't his first fight in the UFC. Scrap that.
Yeah, no, I think he had one or two before that one.
Yeah, because he fought Jimmy Manuwa, and he had that crazy knockout.
Yeah.
But that was his latest performance, and damn, he just ate up Anthony Smith's legs during that fight. So I see that being a big key here, especially with the Thiago Santos leg injury in the John Jones fight. If he can, find something there or tender up that leg, it's going to be not a fun night for Santos. But again, Santos can put his lights out with one punch. These guys have crazy power.
He's going to need that Jimmy Rivera resiliency, like we saw last weekend, I believe.
Yeah.
He's going to need to have that fighter's heart. But I believe that that old Moreta, if I think that's how you pronounce that, at least I'm not very shored up on the nicknames, but I believe that Santos still has a fighting chance to hang on here.
I'm hoping so. I like Santos. I thought he did really good against John Jones, given, multiple muscle tears during that fight. I think he tore his MCL, ACL, meniscus. I think he did a bunch of stuff to his legs during that fight.
It all came off the bone.
What's that?
I said it was all coming off the bone by the end of it. It was nothing looked quite right there.
So I guess if anyone's going to be able to put up with the leg kicks, it is Thiago Santos. And it's interesting, Santos in this fight as well, because Santos, I want to say, is the last guy to beat the champ, Yawn Blehovich. So he definitely has something to prove there. He did have a win over him a couple of years ago, I want to say.
I think I believe you're right in saying that. I'm pretty sure that the last person that toppled Yawn Blehovich was Thiago.
Yep, 2019, a round 3 knockout. So it's just interesting to see that revolving door in this light heavyweight division. A lot of new contenders are coming up with John Jones leaving the division.
If he wins against Wreckage and Yawn beats Izzy, and let's say Dom beats Yuri Prochazka, what's to say Thiago Santos doesn't make the step up for the title next? Because he has that win over the champion. So, I mean, a case can be made. I'm not sure it's a very strong one, but it's a possibility. You
still got Glover there, but I think Santos certainly can make his way back up there with 1 or 2 more wins for sure.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Islam Makachev versus Drew Dober. How do you see this one playing out?
The UFC wants Islam Makachev to win so bad. They do. They're already losing Khabib, or he keeps saying no. I know Dana's not going to quit trying, but he keeps on. They thought they lost Hamzat for a minute. They need their Middle Eastern fighter that they can kind of sell, because that is a huge market. Islam Makachev is an absolute beast. He's 18-1 right now. He's only 29 years old. The lightweight division is stacked, but Islam Makachev can fight with the best of them. He leans more on his groundwork, but he is a very balanced guy. And Drew Dober's just not on his level, man. It as simple as that. 23-9 is impressive, but he's 32 years old. There's not a whole lot of room left to grow in his game. I think Islam Makachev takes this one with a 3rd-round submission.
I'm going to agree with you. I think Islam's the better, more well-rounded fighter. And we always hear these comparisons of Islam and Khabib, and how people have even made the connection that Islam is a Khabib just with better striking, which is just terrifying.
Yeah, that's not a world I would like to live in.
Drew Dober, obviously, he has the power. He's got the puncher's chance. We've seen Islam Makachev get caught in the past. That's his one loss, is he got clipped and he lost. I think that's what it's going to take for Drew Dober to win this fight. So I'm going to agree with you. Islam Makachev, I'm going to go with a 2nd-round submission, but that's my thought process. I know that Drew Dober's taken some submission losses in the past, so that's basically my reasoning for choosing that.
I went for the 3rd round just because I think that Islam Makachev will wear him down a bit more, let him just completely take that gas tank, much like we see from Khabib. So by the final 5 minutes, he can just put whatever he wants on him and be done with it.
Yep. I'm excited to see his progression as an athlete. Just with this, we've always talked about this lightweight division and how awesome it is, how stacked it is. And now with Khabib possibly leaving, possibly staying, but probably leaving, it's going to be interesting to see if he can just shoot up right to that title shot after a few victories.
Maybe if he gets to the top by, let's say, the end of 2022. Let's say he has the belt by the end of 2022. Who's to say Khabib doesn't come back to see if he is really just Khabib with striking abilities?
That would be crazy. Alternatively, what about seeing someone that Khabib has finished, or someone that Khabib has fight Islam Makachev, someone like a Dustin Poirier or a Justin Gaethje, or even a Conor McGregor. A Conor McGregor Islam Makachev in a few years could be a fun fight to look for.
Even in the near future, you think, how much longer does Tony Ferguson really have? Is he about to take that step towards gatekeeper status? That could be an immediate fight.
That's another one, because we've always, the MMA gods have never gifted us Khabib versus Tony, but maybe Tony versus Islam could be a fight we see. That's not one that I want for Tony right now, but
no. You need to stop him waiting.
Yeah, I don't know. Islam's a killer. I wouldn't want to see Tony fight someone like that. Definitely someone in the 10 to 15, range in that lightweight division, but Islam he's a killer.
He absolutely. And I'm trying to think who would be the lowest ranked fighter right now that's still in that top 15-ish that Khabib has put away.
The lowest rank that Khabib has put away?
Yes. Like, since he's had the belt, because I'm trying to think, you've got so many guys kind of tangled up in their own mess right now. I don't even know.
Probably be Dos Anjos, right? Because he's like 6 or 7 right now. I'm not sure about the rankings. I haven't brushed up on it.
But, I haven't checked here recently. It might be him.
All those top guys, though, he's finished, or he's beat handedly.
Where is Ali Akinta on the rankings anymore? Do you know?
I'm not sure. He's got to be 8 or 9 or something like that, because his last fight, what was it? A loss to Dan Hooker? Is that the last fight?
I believe so.
That
could be the next Islam Makachev fight.
Dan Hooker?
Yeah, Dan.
Or are you saying Ali Akinta?
I'm happy with either one.
I think that both would be good tests for him. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I want to know if the hype is real, because we keep hearing these Khabib comparisons. I want to see him fight some of these, higher, IQ fighters.
Have him go on a Hamzat run where he fights 3 guys in 3 weeks or whatever it ended up being. Just have him start putting away some killers.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on. We got 3 title fights ahead of us. We're going to start first with the bantamweight title fight between Piotr Yawn and Aljamain Sterling. What do you think about this matchup?
I'm not ready to crown Aljamain Sterling, because I respect and was in absolute awe of what he did against Corey Sandhagen. But it was almost like, whenever you jump into a really cold pool, you just kind of like go in shock. That's almost like what that fight seemed for Corey Sandhagen, because as soon as the bell rang, Aljamain's on his back, fight's over. Piotr Yawn is a little bit more seasoned. He knows what to expect, because now he's seen it. It's like Jorge Masvidal wasn't going to hit anybody with that knee twice. You've seen it play out. Now you have the method to fix it. Jan's been a completely different beast lately. His last 4 wins, it's been against Dodson, Rivera, Faber, and Aldo, which, doesn't get a lot better than that in the bantamweights. He's got 2 fights back-to-back with the knockouts. And Aljamain has to win on the ground if he's going to win this one, and it's likely going to have to go to decision. I can't really imagine Piotr Yawn tapping out, especially not on the run he's on currently. So I'm going to say Yawn 5th round TKO.
Okay. I think your assessment was good here. I think if Aljamain's going to win this fight, I think, like you said, either a decision. I don't see Aljamain Sterling knocking him out. I just don't see that happening at all. But I think an early submission could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Piotr Yawn has a great ground game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Aljo's got him there. But as the fight continues, the guys get sweatier, it gets harder to submit them. So I think it'd have to be something like Sandhagen, which, again, doesn't happen all the time.
No.
But
not in that way.
Yeah, no, not like that. And it's crazy to see Sandhagen bounce back from that with his latest 2 victories have been just insane. So I'm excited to see his progression. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to agree with you. I think Piotr Yawn wins with a TKO. I can't really put a round to it. I think Aljo's pretty durable. Like we said, he got hit with a knee in the past and, went to sleep. But I don't think that's something that's going to happen here. I think Piotr Yawn will just kind of wear him down and finish him. I'll say round 3.
Okay. Yeah. I figured if you go Aljamain here, it's either got to be by decision or it's got to be in those first 2 rounds. Anything beyond that, you're like you mentioned, fighters are too sweaty. You're not going to be able to get that grip on them. So Piotr Yawn, anything past that.
Yeah, and it's not like Piotr Yawn is the type to, blow his wad, get tired, and get submitted later on. He'll be fighting to the end of the bell.
Yeah, he's a very strategic guy. He has a really good gas tank that we've seen time and time again. It's nothing really to be worried about unless Aljo really just gets to strangling him.
Oh. Now moving on to the co-main, we got Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Jackson, tell me why you're going to choose Amanda in this fight.
I say, buddy, we really don't have to spend much time on this one. It's Amanda Nunes all day. She hasn't lost since 2014. There's really not a name in either one of her weight classes that she hasn't just destroyed. I'm going to go with Nunes in the first round KO. Call it quits.
Again, I think it's one of those situations where Megan Anderson, she has the puncher's chance, but I think that's unfortunately about it. I think Amanda Nunes is better everywhere else. We saw from the weigh-ins and from the press conference yesterday that Megan Anderson is much taller and longer than Amanda Nunes. So if she can use that reach to her advantage and keep Amanda Nunes away from her, she's got a shot in the striking, but I think Amanda Nunes is going to be too good a striker, too powerful, and too smart because she doesn't fight recklessly anymore. She's smarter with the way she fights. So I think this is a tough, unfortunate matchup for Megan Anderson. I'm picking the Lioness to win in the first round.
Yeah, I would be remiss to go with anything else here. I understand that it is a very big fight just because Amanda Nunes is a very big fighter, but it's one of those things where it almost is going to be like a breather between the suspense because ain't going to be a whole lot of suspense in this one.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations, and I don't mean it in a way to disrespect Megan Anderson and discredit her, but it's just one of those situations where Amanda Nunes, and I guess you can put Valentina Shevchenko up there with her, they're just on a completely different level than all of these other female fighters on the UFC roster.
Yeah, it's like, I'm trying to think, Jones for like 3 or 4 of his fights, Khabib, you had killers in Khabib's division, but it felt pretty comfortable saying that he was going to win all of his fights. Other than that, I mean, there's rarely are there ever champions like that. We've got 2 of them in the women's division right now.
But it's almost more than that because with Khabib, when he fought Gaethje, there was those leg kicks and, Gaethje's not going to get tired. He's going to be in his face. He's going to give him some hell. But there's no storyline with that there. It's just everyone just seems to be completely counting out Megan Anderson, but you can't really blame him just because of the resume that Amanda Nunes has put together.
No, yeah, I know this is a bit off topic, but kind of circling back to your Khabib point, me and you text when we first got acquainted right before COVID hit, we would text about how much we like Gaethje and how we actually think that he holds a fighting chance against Khabib. That fight goes. We were dead wrong. Good thing we weren't doing podcasts at that point.
Seriously. We would have looked really dumb. Fun fact about that fight is the first round, 2 of the judges actually scored it for Gaethje somehow.
That was the wrong call.
Yeah, for sure.
I would have been more inclined to give it a 10-8 than I would have for Gaethje.
Seriously.
Maybe my favorite thing that has come from Khabib that isn't like a purely what he's doing in the ring was the thing that he said that he put Gaethje in a submission move that was not going to significantly damage him because his parents were there. The fact that some man or just a fighter in general can have that much awareness to be like, I like this guy. His parents are right there. I'm not going to hurt him. I'm just going to put him out gently and call it that blew me away.
Yeah.
He's such a scary guy.
Hearing DC talk about that, the following Monday was insane. That could be, like you said, Oh, I didn't want to hurt him in front of his family, so I choked him out instead. It's like, Jesus. Levels.
Yeah, there's levels to this, and Khabib is a few higher than anyone else.
Yep, definitely. All right. Moving on, we got the main event. Yawn Blehovich, the light heavyweight champion, set to face Israel Adesanya, who's moving up from middleweight to become a double champion. How do you see this one playing out?
I hate to bet against Izzy. I really do. It's proved me wrong. It proved me wrong. It proved me wrong as recently as his last fight because I thought Paolo was going to win. The fact that Izzy has not put on a lot of weight, adding to his frame, worries me a lot because it seems like he's going into this fight comfortable being the Dominick Reyes here. Because this is a real speed versus strength thing. We just saw that. And Yawn finished that quick. I don't know if Izzy has some secret metal titanium plate that he has in his jaw that makes him feel comfortable sleeping at night. I don't know what the case is, but it scares me to death that he's going to go up weight, not look all that much bigger. You know, you see how much bigger Bones looks moving up. You see a lot of guys shifting around, and you can tell in their frame. Izzy did not have that. And I'm not willing to bet against Yawn in a very similar stylistic fight as we saw last time. Give me Yawn in the 4th, TKO.
Okay. I like that pick. I struggle with this one. Like you said, the weight is interesting because he weighed in, I want to say 200 pounds, 201 pounds. He was under the limit by a decent amount, though.
Yeah.
So he's going to be the quicker guy in there. But like you said, so was Dominick Reyes. How did that work out for him?
Yeah.
It's just tough because they're both kind of, I don't want to label Izzy as a counter puncher, but he is phenomenal at counter punching. But I think Yawn Blehovich is. And I think we've seen guys take the counter punching approach against Izzy. We've seen kind of Romero do that, although Romero was kind of doing some other stuff. Paulo Costa.
Doing this one right here.
Paulo Costa seemed to have a counter striking approach to their fight, and that didn't go good for him at all. Right. So I'm wondering what that's going to be like. I feel like another thing to look for is the kicks in this fight. Izzy is, obviously very fluent with his kicks. He can just throw them whenever. It's like throwing a jab for a normal fighter. He can just kick whenever he wants, however he wants. He doesn't have to set it up. Yawn, on the other hand, had that vicious left body kick in his last fight that after he landed one of those, Dominick Reyes' side was just like black.
And that's with Dom coming in at I believe it was the 210 mark. Okay. Or 210, 205. Like 205. It was, 205. There's another 4 pounds of weight on Dom. If that gets through Izzy, he might snap in half. Yeah. There's fear.
Well, I'm wondering, like, either a body kick like that or even a leg kick. How many of those kicks is Izzy going to be able to take? I don't know. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and choose Izzy for this fight. I think he gets it done. I think he gets a decision victory. Okay. I don't see him putting out the Polish power, but I'm hoping for a war. But I think Izzy's going to try to take it smart. I think he's going to try to wear him down and then put it on him in the later rounds. I think he's going to be a point fighter in this one.
I cannot blame you for taking Izzy here. Like I mentioned, I hate betting against him, especially after the last time I did it. But it's one of those things where it doesn't feel right to me. He came up to the division, I assume because he thinks Yawn is a lot easier fight than John Jones. But to not fully put on the weight that you probably need to against somebody that is that strong, it almost feels like he's underestimating him to me. And maybe it was just an issue where he couldn't get the weight on, and he's just been training to be blazing speed and hoping and praying that, Yawn just simply can't block it because it's coming at him too fast. But I'm not willing to put all my eggs in that basket.
I love Yawn, and I always seem to pick against Yawn, and he always comes there and just proves me wrong. So I'm hoping that he does that in this case because I am rooting for Yawn Blehovich. I just see Izzy as the more complete fighter, and I've picked against the more complete fighter too many times, and I don't want to make that mistake here. So that's basically my reasoning for it. But I think one of the more interesting things about this fight is it could play out in so many different ways. We don't know if Yawn's going to go in and just try to take him down, hold him on the ground. We don't know if Yawn's going to come in and just guns blazing, try to knock him out in the first round. We don't know what Izzy's going to do. It's just there's so many avenues this fight can take place, and I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, this card top to bottom. I mean, just listening to us talk about it for the past however long, it's so good because it's so hard to pick other than, Nunes and a couple of those Dominick maybe. Like there's so many fights that you're like, I have no clue who's going to win. So that's the beauty of UFC 259, and I cannot wait to watch it unfold.
I'm there with you. UFC 259, there's our predictions. There's the preview. Now we just got to wait for the card to start. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys. Mason, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Jackson. Hey, where can they find you on the social media platforms? Where are you at?
I'm most active on Twitter at @itsJacksonTM. I also do a podcast about the NFL draft. If you're into that, just type in Nexus Sports Network. You'll see some of our videos pop up. And yeah, I mean, those are the easiest ways to find me.
There you have it. Go check them out and enjoy UFC 259. See everyone.